Hello everyone, my name is Frozen Hydro and welcome to my tier list video. I'm doing this because I've seen a lot of tier list videos. Some I agree with. Well, actually, there is no tier list I fully agree with, but some of them have things that I agree with, whether it be 60 or 70%, and others I'm like, really? Why? So I just figured I might as well do my own tier list because everyone has opinions on whether or not they can win with certain characters or not. But there are a few characters that universally anyone can agree, oh, this is S tier, this is D tier character. And we're going to go by the average player, whether or not they can get the most wins with this character, the most kills, the most damage, or the most heals, depending on what role they play. And yeah, let's get into it. Black Panther, I think this is the safest one. We can all say Black Panther is D tier. He's easily the worst DPS in the game. Yeah, he's in a desperate need of a buff. His claws don't do that much damage. His dash doesn't even do that much damage, even though you get that recharge every time you hit a marked character. But it doesn't matter, because if you get more than one marked character and one dash, you might as well dash out of there, and you gotta wait until to come back in to do what seems like very little damage that can get healed instantly. So, and his ult is so lackluster. And I do got a few ideas on how they can buff Black Panther with a new ability. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's just say the ability involves this thing right here, like this explosion thing that Black Panther does, like this explosion thing. Let's add that as an ability. But if this video gets to 100 likes, I will make a separate video on how they can buff Black Panther, and probably someone else too that shares his spot in D tier. So if this video gets to 100 likes within 2 weeks, I will make a how to buff these characters that are in D tier as a separate video. So let's get this video to 100 likes within 2 weeks. And yeah, Luna Snow, she's S tier because she's fun to play. Not only that, but she does a lot of heals with her shift, and her snowballs are really good, although it's hard to hit for the average player. Her self-heal isn't that good. You know, it's like one button and then you gotta wait 20 seconds to self-heal yourself again, and it doesn't heal yourself all the way. At least I don't think. I played her a lot, but I haven't noticed if it heals you all the way or not. But, anyhow, Luna Snow, she's really solid. Her ult, pretty much, everyone's invincible, as long as they, you know, keep it on the heal side instead of the damage buff side. You know, the only way you can throw as Luna with her ult is if you have damage buff when everyone needs a heal. And that has happened to me constantly, where I am like, I need a heal, and heal me, Luna. And then they had it on damage boosts, and like, what? More damage? Okay. And then I'm like, no. And then I die. Like seriously, I can't tell you how many times that has happened to me, where Luna Snow, an ally Luna Snow, puts it on damage boost and I die. But when she has it on healing mode, oh my gosh, it's broken. It is probably the best support ultimate in the game. It's definitely the best support ultimate in the game, because everyone, it's so large and it's impossible to kill anyone within that ult unless you got a Scarlet Witch or a who does that? Oh, Iron Man. Either Iron Man or Scarlet Witch can insta-kill them. But other than that, yeah, good luck trying to kill someone within their ult. Mantis, same thing with her ult. Although it does seem better than Luna's ult because she can actually hit someone while she's in her ult, and she's faster too. Well, she's not faster than Luna. Luna moves really fast, but she gives speed boost to everyone within the area. So you're wondering, well, do I go Mantis? Do I go Luna? I think it's a toss-up, but I have died to Mantis's more than Luna's. And Mantis's sleep is easier to hit than Luna's Ice Ball. Even though Luna's Ice Ball is very effective, Mantis's sleep is just as effective, but it's easier to hit. She does seem to do more damage because of her damage buff, and she has great heals. She moves really fast, but so does Luna. I forgot she does that ice skate thing. So I'm a Luna Snow main. Don't get me wrong. I just haven't played her enough because I play a lot of characters. I'm a variety mainer, if that's what it's called. I don't know, but I'm a variety Marvel Rivals gamer, meaning I play a variety of characters. So yeah, Mantis, she can damage buff you, herself. I would say what keeps her behind Luna is that she doesn't have a self heal. That's the only thing holding her back, is that she doesn't have a self heal. And yeah, she's easier to kill than Luna. Storm, massive improvements since the alpha. I mean, it's like night and day. She was easily D tier, probably below Iron Man last, because Iron Man still had his right click, which still melted people in the alpha. People just couldn't hit it because it was so short. But if you could hit it, it would melt you. Whereas Storm's right click, it's just one time hit. And yeah, it does a decent amount of damage, but it doesn't like melt you. Her projectiles are still kind of slow. Hard to hit, hard to land. Her ult did seem to get a damage buff. Like, I don't know, the patch notes were very vague, so I just gave up on reading it. Like, they were so vague, I got nothing out of it, so I just gave up on reading it. But I have noticed that Storm has had an immense damage buff to her ult. Like, every time she ults, it's like an insta-kill every time she touches someone with her tornado. And with Thor added to the game, her extra ability, really good, really awesome. And don't underestimate Storm's like amplify ability, because every time I had friends that didn't know this, and one of them played the alpha with me, and even he didn't know this. But if you play Storm and you put her abilities on lightning mode, which is the damage boost mode, if you press E, the amplifying, it will damage every enemy within that circle or ring she does with a lightning strike every 2 seconds. And it does incredible amount of damage. Yeah. So all you have to do is just pretty much press E, put it on lightning, and then yeah, you don't even have to throw your projectiles. You can just sit there and their healths will be melted down. So yeah. And if you have trouble with Iron Man, just get him close to you, but not too close to where he can beam you with his right click. Or trying to dodge his right click as much as you can and press the amplifier if he's low, and the lightning will strike him and he's gone. That's the only way for Storm to counter Iron Man. But otherwise, I would say, you know what? Iron Man is above Storm. Again, night and day difference. Night and day difference between how he was in the beta and how he is in the beta and how he was in the alpha. He was D tier. It's probably worse than Black Panther. Same thing with Storm. But Iron Man, because of that right click and because it got a range buff, it can melt you. And and because of his left click buff, like it does has a huge AoE, and with the amplifier, it does so much damage. It is ridiculous. Every time you see an enemy Iron Man, I'm like, ugh. And people underestimate, you know, how annoying flying characters are, and how, excuse me, how hard they are to hit to the average player. Like, unless you're playing Hela or Punisher, it is really hard to hit a flying character if you're somewhat average or below average of a player. Like, they have more space to move around. They have a less chance of, even though they have less cover, you know, you're still dividing your attention from the ground, which is clumped together, whereas in the air they have more space to dodge and to get away. His shift ability is still pretty slow, even though they buffed the speed a little bit, just a little bit. I noticed it, like, it's faster, but it's not too fast. It's not fast enough, I say. His rockets still do nothing. Like, I don't know why would you use the rockets. It's hard to aim with them. Plus, they do little damage. But Iron Man's at a good spot. And they buffed his ultimate to where it's bigger and it moves faster, so it's harder to dodge. And, yeah. Doctor Strange, definitely an A tier tank. Oh, hold on a second. I'm separating these by their roles. So, just because I put Doctor Strange above Iron Man doesn't mean anything. It means Doctor Strange is A tier, top of A tier in his role. Doesn't mean he's better than Iron Man. It just, even though I do think sometimes he can kill Iron Man, I don't know. I'm just not going to discuss role versus role. I'm just going to discuss how each character compares to the other heroes within their own role. So Doctor Strange got damage buff. He does so much damage with his primary, and they have more range. Same thing with his E, his dark magic ability has more range, has more damage. And every time he ults, 90% of the time you're dead. You're just dead. Unless you have someone from the outside came in to save the day and kill him, take him out before he has a chance to kill you, or his teammates have a chance to kill you. Otherwise, yeah, you're dead. His shield is ridiculous. The amount of, like, you get it instantly, and it has so much health. You have so much time to use it. It is really hard to break, and it's so annoying. I would say the only ability that it's kind of lackluster. Wait, he has the shield, he has the primary, he has the E. I feel like he has another ability, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I played Doctor Strange. Forgive me. I would say his shift, his flying ability is kind of lackluster, but again, back to flying. It's hard enough to hit a flying character because you're not used to them flying. Not only they can go side to side or jump a little bit upward, but flying characters can go down, up, anywhere they want, diagonal if they want. They can go anywhere. They can move any direction. Even though, yes, they're more isolated, it's easier to spot them, but you're still dividing your attention from their teammates with them. And Doctor Strange, when he shifts with his shield, even harder to kill for the average player. Spider-Man, I'd say he's definitely better than Iron Man. You know what? I'm gonna say it. He's the best melee character in the game. I was gonna say Magic was, but the more I think about it, Spider-Man is better because I can still kill a Magic. But to the average player, good luck trying to kill a Spider-Man because of his passive double jump. His other passives are whatever. Like if I see a crawling Spider-Man or wall running Spider-Man, I'm like, okay, whatever. And his Spidey sense is like, well, it's like Captain Obvious. Like, oh no, I don't know if I can say that, but like, I'm trying not to curse as much, but anyhow, you get the point. It's so obvious. Like, oh wow, enemies are nearby. I had no idea. Oh, you have an idea. You know that they're nearby because it's a passive that's not that useful in a game like this. So yeah, but his other kit, his main abilities, his right click doesn't do damage, but you don't have to do damage with that much damage with it because you get 5 charges, and if you land a hit on them, your E can automatically lock onto them as long as you aim at their general direction. And that E does a lot of damage, and that uppercut, even more damage. Like his uppercut's ridiculous. So all you have to do is just swing in, double jump, web, and then zip to them, and then uppercut, and then zip out. I mean, swing out. Because he is so hard to hit, and he has 3 charges of his web swings, which is 2 more than Venom's. It is easier to get out of a sticky situation, no pun intended. And he is very sticky on you. That one was intended, that pun. It's just hard to get rid of Spider-Man. He is a nuisance, he's annoying, and he's good at his job of what he does. So, which fits Spider-Man's character very well. Scarlet Witch, I would say, is above Storm. I think it's easier to kill Storm with Scarlet Witch than it is Iron Man. Iron Man can melt you with the right click. But Scarlet Witch, with her shift ability, really hard to hit. The fact that she has 2 is very broken. That an ability that makes you invulnerable to damage is just ridiculous. The fact that she has 2 is ridiculous. She probably has the best stun in the game with her orb thing, and her right click does a lot of damage if her left click is not doing much. But her left click is easy to aim. You don't have to aim with Scarlet Witch. For the average player, she's pretty good. Even though her left click doesn't do that much damage, it's not supposed to be. She's like Mora. If she did more damage than she would when she's paired up with Magneto, it would be broken. Like, Scarlet Witch would be broken. The fact that you don't have to aim, you just have to hold on to your left click, it's ridiculous, and it does do a decent amount of damage. I think she's perfect the way she is right now. I don't think she needs a buff. I don't think she needs a nerf. Her ult, to the average player, all they have to do is just hide in a good hiding spot and then pop it and wait for the final kaboom to appear to the enemy, and then boom, squad wipe. Even though, yes, it's easier to focus on her when she appears, as long as she's in full health or she has a Magneto shield on her, and she's at a good hiding spot at full health, waiting to be revealed to the enemy at the perfect time, her ult will immediately get a squad wipe. And her ult, like I said, can kill Luna Snow in her ult, which is very almost impossible to do. Hulk, I'm sorry, Hulk fans, but I'm not a Hulk main because, well, I don't know, I'm not that interested in the character. But Hulk is supposed to be the Hulk. I know enough about the Hulk to be like, he should do a lot of damage. But his melee feels so lackluster, so underpowered. I'm like, where's the Hulk? This is not the Hulk. The Hulk's supposed to be this behemoth of a beast, and he does so little damage. In his exile move, like, what are they thinking? Like, I'm allowed to stun them, but I can't hit them or do damage to them while they're stunned? Like, I get it, it lasts a long time, but just decrease the time of the stun, and also allow me to hit them while they're stunned. Or better yet, no, I better save that for the how to fix these characters video. Remember, get this video to 100 likes if you want to see that video. So, how I would fix these two characters, or probably more, like I said, get this video to 100 likes. Magic. If it weren't for Spider-Man, she would definitely be the best melee character in the game. I would say she's above Scarlet Witch. It's hard to kill Iron Man as Magic, but the fact that she gets shield every time she lands a hit, it just makes her extra hard to kill. Plus, with her portal dash and her regular dash, her uppercut dash, really good. And her range attack, I think it was her right click, does so much damage. It is ridiculous. Punisher, he's definitely one of the best. If you want a solid comp for damage, have Spider-Man and Punisher. I would say, like, Punisher can counter Spider-Man with a shotgun, but then again, Spider-Man can just double jump and zip out if he sees the shotgun. When we're dealing with a good Spider-Man player, I would just put him behind Spider-Man. His ult is really solid. It's not only does it instant hit you, like it auto locks enemies with his missiles, but it also shoots. Also, the amount of damage his primary fire, which doesn't auto lock, thank God, doesn't auto lock to enemies like his missiles, but what it does do is do more damage. Like, it does so much damage so fast, it is ridiculous. His zip line is very meh, but that's okay. It's to keep him balanced. And his smoke grenade, again, whatever. Like, I would have it last longer, like the smoke effect. Or unless it was supposed to be like this grenade thing, then I would have it do more damage instead of just, I don't know. I would have it just be a grenade launcher and do more damage. Or if it's actually supposed to be a smoke grenade, have the smoke last longer. His passive really good. His turret is easily the best ability in his kit. Other than that, his primary, best primary in the game. His secondary, best secondary in the game. And his ult is just ridiculous. Okay. Venom. Even though the average player is going to have a hard time mastering Venom, you just have to figure out the right combo, which is swing in, dive, right click, and then press E for shield, and then wait until your swing is back, and then get out of there. That's all you have to do with Venom. And his primary does decent amount of damage. So, on top of all that, I would say there's no bad tool in his kit. Maybe the wall climb. Well, you can get some sneaky shots with him doing the wall climb. Like, you can save the swing and just wall climb into a sneaky spot and then dive right onto them, because you can dive if you're on a wall, if you're high enough. His ultimate's okay. I didn't talk about Spider-Man's ult. Spider-Man's ult is also okay, although you do have a greater chance of dying to a Spider-Man ult compared to a Venom ult. Although Venom, the fact that he gets shield from his ult every time, every person he consumes in his ult, he gets more shield, even though it doesn't do that much damage. It's certainly better than Black Panther's ult in terms of damage. Like, way more than Black Panther's ult. But he gets shield from it. On top of that, yeah, he's just OP. I would say Penny Parker's B tier. I mean, let's talk about her kit. Like her spider nest, very good if you know what you're doing. It's very good if you're once you capture the point or the payload. You just gotta get in a secure spot, in a effective spot while at it, and they'll be stepping on those spiders, that spider nest, and die, and lose so much health. And her mines are hard to detect, hard to see, and they do so much damage too. It is ridiculous. I would say the only thing holding her back right now is her ult. It used to be her primary, but because they buffed the firing range, the firing rate of her primary. Oh, also she has that web thing, not the bungee cord. That one's whatever, but the web shoot, like she shoots a web and it stuns you. It is hard not to stun someone with that. Like you have to miss the side of a barn, bad aim, to not hit someone with her stun. Because it is so big, it is hard not to stun someone with it. And the fact that it's that big and it's a stun, it's ridiculous. But other than that, her ult is pretty lackluster. Like again, when a Penny ults, it's like, oh no, but at the same time, oh yeah, we can just kill her. You just have to get out of the way. She'll probably use her mines. You either have to shoot her, kill her, or just get out of the way. Yeah, just get out of the way, or just kill her. Either way, her ult's pretty lackluster. It's not that scary. But I would put her at the bottom of B tier in terms of tanks, but definitely a nice buff. It saved her from C tier, I'd say. Adam Warlock has to be B tier in terms of healers because of one reason: his heals. Even though his heals does a lot for a squishy, like if you're 250 or 300 health, unless you're not a tank, unless you're a tank, you're gonna get instantly healed by Adam Warlock. Because his E ability does so much healing in one instant. And the fact that he gets 2 is pretty good. The only problem is it takes forever for them to recharge. And that's the only heal he got. His shift is like, okay, it divides the damage and the heal, which is good. But still, like, I think you pick Adam Warlock not for his heals, but for his res ult, which is pretty good, pretty solid. I don't think it's better than Mantis's ult or Luna Snow's ult. I mean, it's convenient, but I would buff it a bit because I find myself dying a lot during his ult, because every time I have an Adam Warlock on my team and he reses our team, I find myself dying a lot because the fact that you respawn with low health. His passive is really good. The fact that you can get him back instantly, well, not instantly, it takes a while for him to cocoon, but the fact that you can get him back into the fight every 100 seconds, still pretty good. Same thing with if you pair him up with Mantis and Star-Lord, that's extra good. You can get both healers back for a certain amount of time without having them to go all of the way back to spawn. That's really good. But mainly, you pick him for his damage. I swear, he does the most amount of damage out of any healer. Besides one character. Besides one healer. He does the second most damage out of any healer in the game. He does incredible amount of damage in his res. His res and his damage. That's how you pick Adam Warlock. But for his heals, that's the only thing holding him back. Rocket, even though he can spam his heals, it takes longer for them to get full health with Rocket compared to Adam Warlock. Even though you have his res more often than Adam Warlock's res, you still, and yes, his res, full health instantly. Whereas Adam Warlock, everyone's at low health. But the fact that Rocket can only res one person at a time is probably what's holding him back. But the main, probably, I don't know. It's more a trade-off if that was it. If he does more damage, because that's the only thing that's holding him back. His shift, his movement, pretty good. He gets a good get out jail free card with his 2 rocket boosts. His ultimate's okay. I mean, it's pretty scary once he puts it on, but it's like, okay. But his heals or whatever, I would say him and Adam Warlock would be interchangeable, but what gives Adam Warlock the edge is his damage. If we're talking about Alpha Rocket, he will be an A tier because of his damage. But because they nerfed his damage, I think he's behind Adam Warlock. Star-Lord, I don't think he received a nerf. I think he's received kind of a shadow buff, because if you notice, he gets a big cooldown with his shift every time you use it, like his jet boots, whereas it's like Magneto's shield. You just have to wait for the meter to come back, and then you can press it again in 2 seconds. You instant mobility. Other than that, he doesn't seem to do that much damage. His ult is also lackluster, since, I mean, it was S tier. He was one of the best DPSs in the game besides Hela. But now that people focus on Star-Lord when he ults, I think he's going to go in B tier, because they can shoot him out of his ult. Even though, yes, I have gotten away with using his ult and getting like 3 or 4 kills with it in the beta, still, I have to consider the fact that when you use his ult, you can still get shot out of the sky. You can get focused on really easily, and it's auto aim, so which helps the average player, because you don't have to worry about the spread shot or missing shots. It just auto locks in onto an enemy, which is pretty strong for the average player, but as people are getting better at the game, I think it's getting weaker and weaker. Kind of like Soldier 76's ult. His right click, his not dash, but like kind of dodge ability that auto reloads. You use that ability to not only dodge attacks, but to instantly reload your guns. That's what's keeping him solid right now. Other than that, he doesn't seem to do that much damage. But if you were to use both of your dodges and use your whole clip on each dodge, I would say he would get a kill, but that's the problem. The fact that he can't get a kill with a single clip, I don't know. Maybe he can. He can. I just have to play him more. I'm a Star-Lord main, but I don't know. From what I've seen from other tier lists and from my games, it's hard to get a win with him. I don't know why. Probably because his E is pretty good, but you can easily misuse it, and you can easily get killed out of it. Even though, yes, you're all over the place, you're still in a certain area, a good enough area for your enemy to shoot you out of. It's like a mini Spider-Man ult, or a Reaper ult, if you will, but it doesn't do that much damage, so I don't know. I'd say he's in a solid spot. He's definitely a solid pick. Magneto? I would say he's definitely above Penny, Magneto definitely received a buff with his shield, with his bubble. He can now use it on himself. His wider shield, like his rectangular shield, received a buff, so it's not on that long of a cooldown, and also it recharges. So every time it recharges, you can just press it in 2 seconds, kind of like Star-Lord's shift. He does a lot of damage. He probably does the most amount of damage besides probably besides Doctor Strange out of any tank. Besides his ultimate. His ultimate, even though he received a buff, many times you can overload the ult. If you try to use Magneto's ult with a Punisher ult against a Punisher ult, it will overload and the ult gets cancelled. Yeah, if you didn't know that, just spam all your projectiles into Magneto's orb and it will overload. You will notice this gauge on the meter, that on this icon on the meter, and once it's full, his ultimate is cancelled, which is a little ridiculous. It does more damage than how it did in the alpha, but yeah, I think here is solid. He did get a nice buff. He does do a lot of damage. He just doesn't have that much range unless you got a Scarlet Witch. If we're dealing with Scarlet Witch, actually, because of Scarlet Witch, I think he's bottom of A tier in terms of tanks. Like, but if we're talking about if he's on his own, he has range with his right click, but doesn't do that much damage. Otherwise, he's not that good at range. But he does eat up an Iron Man ult and a Scarlet Witch ult, and probably some other ones I'm forgetting. But yeah, Hela definitely received some damage nerfs, but she's still pretty solid. I would say she's above Iron Man, top of A tier. I think Hela's a really solid pick. Still, her right click is a little inaccurate, which is holding her back. Her E used to not be so noticeable. Like, every time she uses her E, I'm like, oh, whatever. But now it seems to have a stun effect, which I'm like, oh, this is a bit of a problem. She gets a good get out of jail free card with her bird, and her ultimate's terrifying. Even with, people say it was not as bad in the alpha, but even in the alpha, I was like, oh shit, she's ulting. Sorry for my language. Oh, she's ulting. Oh no. And I'm gonna die because it does so much damage in an AoE effect. But now, you can just shoot her out of the sky, focus on her, but that's if she doesn't kill you first. Or her other weakness with her ult is she puts it in a bad spot. Or just hide. Either way. Loki, I would say it's really weird to say he's the worst healer in the game. He's pretty solid, but because he had a damage nerf and he is more reliant on his clones, and it's easier to spot the clones than the real one, I would say he's the worst healer in the game, but still pretty solid. Still pretty solid. I'd rather have Loki than no heals at all. I would be fine with someone picking Loki because he has that rune thing that pretty much is an immortality field from Baptiste from Overwatch. That little rune ability that protects you from damage is so annoying. Try to live when you're shooting that and going for their heads immediately after. It is near impossible if you're an average player, because by the time you get done shooting the runes, his team is gonna kill you. They're gonna kill you immediately when you finish with the rune. you have no time to go for their heads. In his shift, his invisibility that does passive healing, and he can stay in there as long as he wants, that's really OP. But the fact that he doesn't have a res, I would say, is what's holding him back. Even though his ult is way better than Rocket's, like, it is terrifying to hear Loki's ult than Rocket's ult. I don't know. I would rather have a Rocket on my team because of the res, for selfish reasons, than a Loki. But his immortality or damage invulnerability area, whatever, it's pretty strong. So I wouldn't sleep on Loki. I would make Loki and Rocket interchangeable, to be honest. Either way, he's going to be in B tier. Groot, A tier. He was S tier in the alpha, but he's pretty solid now where he's at. I did notice the nerf, even without the patch notes, that hey, his walls have less health, but his healing wall still annoying to deal with, still annoying to shoot down, and those walls are still annoying. Those other walls that hit you, and all he has to do is just summon that wall that hits you behind you, and you just back up into a corner, and he primary clicks you, and the wall's doing damage to you, and you're cornered. And you're also losing a lot of health. His grenade's good. His passive with Rocket and Jeff the Land Shark is ridiculous. Like, he's hard enough to kill already. But with Rocket and Jeff, he's the hardest tank to kill. His ultimate, when you're caught in that, immediately dead. Because not only you're trapped for a brief period of time, but you also lose a lot of health in the meantime. Now, this might be my most different opinion, but I've noticed a lot of people put Namor in B or C or even D tier because of one fact. He's not as good as Hela. Like, oh, Hela can do everything and Namor can, but better. Well, does Hela have turrets? No. Even though I agree he's not as good as Hela, because you can snipe good with Hela, whereas Namor is harder to snipe with. He can still two-tap you. The fact that he's not good as Hela doesn't say a lot about his character. Like he's still pretty good. The fact that you compare him to Hela says a lot about his character in a good way. Like, yeah, you would rather have a Hela, but why not have both? Both can two-tap you in the head. And his right-click does a decent amount of damage. It's an AoE. And the fact that he has turrets too, even though, yes, they don't last as long as a Torbjorn turret in Overwatch because they have a timer on them, but guess what? You get two, and not only that, they recharge fast, like really fast. And if you have a Luna Snow, they're not going away. You just spam those turrets. And for the average player, he's probably stronger than Hela because they don't know how to aim. Whereas Namor, you don't have to aim. Like Scarlet Witch, you just let the turrets do the job for you. You just spam those turrets and then they do the job for you. His ultimate, I would say, is what is holding him back from Hela, from being above Hela. I'm more scared of a Hela ult than a Namor ult because it's easier to dodge. But it did receive a nice damage and crowd control buff, which I really appreciate. His bubble is pretty strong. It's stronger than what people think. And I think that buff that moved him, that's allowing him to move in it, is pretty strong. Even though, yes, you can't get away like Hela can with her bird, like, because it's that slow. The fact that you're immune to damage is pretty strong. If someone ults, bubble. If you're low on health, bubble. If you need heals, bubble. It is that strong. And or if you need to hold point, bubble. It's like May's like cocoon, ice cocoon thing, but doesn't heal him. But if it did heal him, I think it would be too broken because he does do a lot of damage. Like if May was combined with Torbjorn, that would be too strong. Like the fact that he has a bubble and a turret, I'm kind of glad that he doesn't have a heal. But if they do add a heal, I wouldn't complain because I am a huge Namor main. Out of all these characters, I use Punisher the most and Namor the most out of the DPS. Now Jeff the Land Shark, because I'm a huge water fan, I'm a huge water triber. For the water tribe, he's the best healer in the game. Okay, biases aside, his heal is the best heals in the game. Not only his primary fire does so much healing, but his bubbles also do a pretty good amount of healing as well. And if you're in a pickle, just shoot out a bubble, rock in front of it, and then boom, you're healed. That's the only thing that's holding back Mantis from beating Luna Snow, by the way, because she doesn't have that self-heal. But yeah, Jeff the Land Shark, best healer, the most game-changing ult there is, unless you're dealing with a Luna Snow ult. I notice it doesn't do anything to a Luna Snow while she's ulting. But I don't know about Mantis. I think it does. I think it does swallow Mantis. That's going to be taken out of context pretty well. But anyhow, and he does the most amount of damage. You know, way more than Adam Warlock. Well, maybe not way more, but slightly more damage than Adam Warlock. And if you have a Luna Snow with his ice ability, even more damage. So if you have a Luna Snow, it does definitely the most damage out of any deep healer in the game. He just does slightly more damage than Adam Warlock, which is a lot because Adam Warlock does a lot of damage as a healer. But yeah, Jeff, definitely a must-have on your team. And Thor, he's very new, but very hard to use. I would put him in B tier, but since I mained Thor and I've given him more of a try, I think he's a solid... I think he's here. With his shield, like, he gains from every time he uses his hammer abilities, and the fact that they recharge with his dome every time an enemy's in the area, plus that... I don't know, I've noticed sometimes when my enemies are in that dome thing that he summons, it sometimes kills them. And I don't know, it doesn't say that in the notes, and when I try to use it on the training bots, it doesn't seem to do damage at all. So I'm like wondering, well, how does it work? I still don't know. I just know that if you do it, you get your hammers faster. But other than that, you get shield every time you throw the hammer or fly with your hammer, and that dash ability with your hammer, probably the best ability in the game for his kit, because you're dashing a lot, and you stun them while you use it. So once you hit your opponent with it, it's like they don't get a turn. They don't get a turn because immediately you cancel into your primary, which does a decent amount of damage for a melee character. He's not the best melee. Well, he's certainly the best melee character, but in terms of melee damage, Magic is better. But in terms of like being the best melee based character, Thor is definitely better. In his F ability with the lightning charge, definitely great. I would say the only thing holding him back is his ult. His ult and his dome. Like, because people still don't know what it does and what's the purpose of it. But I think people will learn and use it more often and get to know it more. But other than that, I would say his only thing that's holding him back is his ult. Even though yes, I get a lot of kills with it, it's easy to counter when you shoot him out of the sky, or or you have a shield like Magneto or Doctor Strange, and you just shield the ground, and it does nothing, or just get out of the way. It's easy to dodge, is what I'm saying. But yeah, but the biggest problem with Thor is that he's very get in and get out. It's easy to do that, but he doesn't have that much health. But you do make up for it for the shields you get when you do use your abilities. So I would say Thor is a solid A tier. It's definitely not the best tank in the game. Like, if you were to run the perfect comp, you gotta have Venom, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Punisher, Jeff, and Luna Snow. That is your ultimate comp right there. But if you want to risk it, you can get away with Thor. And yeah, that's my tier list, guys. Tell me if you agree or disagree. This is just my personal opinion, guys. Even though, yes, I said I gotta do this video because I disagree with a lot of... Yeah, I said that because, like, I just wanted to, I don't know, throw my hat in the ring to give my thoughts and opinions. Just to share some insight. Hopefully you guys can see where I'm coming from with these. And if not, that's okay. Just tell me below in the comments. And remember, if this video gets 100 likes, we're going to discuss how these two can get buff in one video. So, yeah, I'm Frozen Hydro. If you like this video, please hit the like. If you want more content, hit the subscribe. If you don't, you're going in damn D tier. Sorry for my language.